All right, welcome to Egypt, the gift of the Nile. Go ahead and get your notebook together. Look for the parts in yellow and black. And like I said, I'll point out other information that you may need. A separate sheet is needed for the questions, okay, that you will turn in tomorrow. All right, again, title this Egypt, the gift of the Nile. Right, ancient Egypt, probably one of the most influential empires, civilizations that has ever existed. All right, they use math and engineering to a degree that is just mind-blowing, considering the tools that they had from that time period. All right, look here at this map I have here of old Egypt. Everything here is centered around the Nile. Okay, everything. And notice that this end is Lower Egypt, while this end is Upper Egypt. All right, anybody know why? Well, that's because the river flowed this way, and the mouth of the river is actually here, and the bottom, or what you may, river is down here. Maybe bottom is the wrong word, that might throw you off. Okay, but the river flows here. It's going this way out into the Mediterranean Sea. So Upper Egypt's here, Lower Egypt's here, and for about 2,000 years it lived as two separate empires until Namar came along and united it. All right. Now Egypt was bordered on both sides, is here and even on the Red Sea, by desert, surrounded by desert. So because of that, they did not have to build walls around their cities. Okay, no walls, completely unwalled, no walls needed. Who's going to invade through miles and miles of desert? Nobody. So we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so the Egyptians, again, now while you didn't have to worry about invaders, you're also limited as far as being influenced by other cultures and getting ideas from other cultures, because basically you have to go to other cultures in order to see what's going on in the world. Now look at this little this is a little calendar here, and notice that it floods the same time each year. That is, around August, they could expect a flood to begin. They knew, okay, and when they were planning out the family vacation time, you know, we're going to take a trip over here to Kenya, or over here to wherever they were thinking of going, they knew this was the time of year to do it because it was going to flood. All right, this made life much simpler than over in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, you don't know when it's going to flood, things get crazy, but here in Egypt, nice and stable. All right, go ahead and answer this one question I have for you here about life on the Nile. All right, read this and answer that question in a complete sentence. All right, Egyptian life of, now write down this word dynasty. Okay, and all it means is a dynasty. That means a family of rulers. That means that the father passes it on to the son. The first such ruler to do this is a guy named Menes or Namar. I don't know which name you're going to see. Sometimes you see Menes, sometimes you see Namar. We really don't know if it's two different people or if it's the same person, but for our sake, we're calling them both by both names. He starts the first dynasty, meaning that he set his, and notice the capital was at Memphis, my hometown, y'all. But anyway, so he set the capital here at Memphis, and once he did that and he died, he passed on the leadership to who? His son. Yeah. All right, and his son is going to pass it down to his son, and who passed it down to his son, and this continued for a couple of thousand years. All right, pretty much uninterrupted. All right, which made Egypt very, very stable. All right, probably one of their greatest rulers is going to be a guy named Ramses. Ramses the Great. Yeah, write his name down. All right. Warrior pharaoh, extended Egyptian power into Mesopotamia. He conquered part of Mesopotamia. Yeah, Ramses was all that and a ball of wax. All right. Now Ramses, the warrior king that he was. Side note: 92 children. Yeah, he was a busy guy. All right, but Ramses did conquer part of this area, not all of it like the map kind of hints at, but he did conquer part of this area here. Wasn't able to hold it long, but he is going to hold part of that area. Now, of course, this is Ramses now, mummified. All right, and we've dug up his corpse, and this is what he looks like now. Notice that long neck. I mean, Egyptians, still have some long necks. Interesting, huh? Not me. I have a short neck, but that's a whole nother discussion. Pharaohs are god kings, and yes, you need to copy down everything on this page. All right, god kings, meaning that their government is a theocracy. All right, and the word theocracy literally means God rules. God rules. Okay, their governments. So the pharaoh is head of the church and head of the government at the same time. All right, this is a little bit different than over in Mesopotamia, where the king is a representative of God, but over in Egypt, he is God. In fact, the whole pyramid thing is all about the God King. We are creating a tomb for his Ka, that is his soul, to dwell for eternity. Yeah. Okay. Then we get to the priest. All right. They're kind of in charge of making sure everything goes right for the God King in terms of his soul. They're in charge of the whole mummification process, building the well, not necessarily building the pyramid, but designing it, make sure it's up to certain standards. But I mean, their work of mummification has not been surpassed ever. I mean, this is a 2,000-year-old body that's still for the most part intact. Now, because, and this is kind of a little side note, no matter who you were, religion was the center of life. And by that I mean the afterlife. Everything centered around the afterlife. This is their god of, where's my little pointer at? Okay, this is their god of the underworld, sort of. And how it worked is you would go and sort of think of this as sort of like the Catholic version of purgatory. And this would be the God who would weigh your heart against a feather. If your heart was heavier than a feather, then you went to the bad place. If your heart was lighter than a feather, you went to the good place. So woe is he who has a heavy heart. All right, but again, the afterlife, everything centered around the afterlife. And some historians believe that this is where the Hebrews really began to put emphasis on the afterlife, cultural diffusion from the Egyptians into the Hebrews. Okay, the scribes. Okay, this is the writers, my favorite group. All right, now, and notice this complicated set of letters and symbols here. All right, you had to learn 24 letters and 700 phonetic symbols. All right, this was not for the regular person. All right, as writers, they did invent something to make their job a little easier, and that is not necessarily paper, but papyrus. And make sure you write this term down, papyrus, which basically dried leaves that they would string together, and then you can write on it. Okay, you can So it was sort of like paper, not quite, we haven't quite reached the level of paper yet, but this was going in that direction. All right, their job was to record everything, and I mean everything, about the pharaoh. All right, that they were the official record keeper of the pharaoh. All right, now check out this numbering system that they had and see if you can come up with what number is this. Check your math skills. All right, now how did we figure out what all of that mumbo gumbo, what it means? All right, Napoleon in 1799 invades Egypt, and when he does, because Egypt comes on some hard times. When he does, Napoleon, not necessarily him, but one of his lynchmen, are gonna find this stone called the Rosetta Stone. They're going to take it back to Europe, spend 10 years trying to figure out how to decode it. And what's going to be the key is this part down here, because down here there's some Old Greek. All right, and because it's written in Old Greek, it makes it possible to translate this. It takes 10 years, but they figure it out. Rosetta Stone, yes. All right. Now, poor people, which would have been the bulk of us, all right, would have been farmers, fishermen, working in the foundries, all right, or on the old pyramid. All right, here's the first pyramid, and notice over time they got better. All right, better and better. And not only did they get better at building them, they got more artistic. All right, as time went on. All right, this is a statue here for Ramses here. Like I said, Ramses was a bad son of a gun. Watch your mouth. All right, now how do they build these joints? We don't know.
Say all peoples must go through some hard times. Well, we Jews are getting ours out of the way early. From here on out, it's gonna be nothing but smooth sailing.
Yeah. All right. Ask Hitler that. Now, Hatshepsut. I can never say her name, but she is the most famous female ruler. Make sure you write her name down because she's the most famous female ruler of Egyptian times. All right, often dressed as a man, but that's a whole other thing. Now, Akhenaten, who often dressed as a woman, got a bad rap. Oh crap! Now Akhenaten got a bad rap because he tried to change a lot of things and made everything center around him. But he is going to have a son who's going to be more famous than him, named Tutankhamun. I can never pronounce his name right either. These Egyptian names always get me. But you probably know him as King Tut, the most famous pharaoh of all. Now, King Tut, interesting. 18, dies. Not sure, how, but dies at 18. Not sure why he's so famous, because he didn't accomplish anything. I mean, it's hard to accomplish a whole lot by the time you're 18, but at any rate, he is probably the most famous pharaoh of all. All right, got 3 more questions. Answer incomplete sentences. That means a whole sentence, a verb, a noun, a subject. Make all that stuff work. All right. And after you finish that, and you should have 3. Notice 3, 4, 5. That means there was a 1 and a 2. Make sure you answer both of those. All right. And outside of that, that is pretty much all I have for you. I want you to enjoy this little video. Probably gonna want to download this joint because it is hot. Here it is. I bet you coming to school singing it.
Can't walk like me. Take a walk with me though. Walk like an Egyptian. Yeah.
They say the Nile gave us Egypt. Start planting crops on the beach, and you can believe it. The yearly flood left rich dirt called silt, so they planted in the silt, and the farms got built around the Nile. They got together to feel alright like Bob Marley, planting cotton, wheat, and barley, writing on papyrus. Listen, hieroglyphics, that's the Egyptian alphabet you can get with. Am I a dimwit? I can't believe it, I can't read it. Looks like symbols to me. Nah, it's simple, you see. The Rosetta Stone let us know how to decipher the code. So now we study the old words that were written in stone. They believed in the afterlife. They get strips of cloth and they wrap you tight. Yep, pharaohs would get mummified and buried with food and clothes for the great unknown. Whoa, walk like an Egyptian. Walk
like an Egyptian.
We built the pyramids. We
Did the Sphinx.
And then
We broke it down in hieroglyphics.
Walk like an Egyptian. Walk like an Egyptian.